Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to Tavern Talk at the Golden Feather Tavern. We are Virtek and Chibi, keepers of this fine establishment, and the Golden Feather Tavern is open to all travelers to come and share their thoughts on the inner workings of Vera over a nice tankard of ale, mead, hot chocolate, or any other delicious beverage of choice. So raise your glass, pull up a chair as we delve into tonight's discussions. And today is the 4th of June, 2024. We are on episode 020, and we're talking about consumables and Node Wars feedback. So, Chibi, how are you doing, and what do we have on tap today?
Doing pretty well. It has been a long weekend, for me at least. But we had a very exciting drop on Friday, and I can tell that the community has been very hyped about it, and there's a lot to talk about, especially on Reddit. And a lot of discussions happening within multiple different Discords, and it's been very enjoyable seeing people's reactions and ideas and theories and things like that. So yeah. I will get to two of them later more in depth, but first off, we are joined currently by Quirian and Lloyd, two of our friends and adventurers of the tavern. Welcome in, you guys.
Thanks for having me.
Hello, thank you.
And for those of you that don't know, this is a lot more chill version of our podcast. This is where we're having literally a talk at the tavern. I think you guys just came back from a quest at an adventure, and you're looking to talk about that adventure, and that's tavern talk, basically. And maybe you didn't defeat the big bad slime boss, and you need to discuss theories on how to do that. Hi, Juby, welcome in.
Welcome in.
Fighting Juby, jeez. Juby was friendly.
But tonight's topics are going to be touching on consumables and ashes as a theory craft, updates to some things that have been happening here in the Golden Feather, and Node War feedback pieces from the Reddit as well as ourselves here in Discord. If you have been in any of our previous lives, like live streams, not like days of our lives, but and you would like to hop in and put your name on the screen, feel free to join us in the live stream queue. We can pull you down. Otherwise, if we have not had you on before, please do still share your thoughts in the chat. We would love to hear your thoughts. Also, if this kind of content is something that you would like, please consider giving us a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, which, by the way, is at 500 plus. We're officially at 510 as of right now. So thank you very much. And consider hitting that notification bell to see when we go live or post content. So with that, we, as I mentioned, hit 510 subs while we were on Jamie and Annie's podcast. So I want to share out that if you guys have not seen it yet, we were on Tangents on Sunday. Newsflash, if you've never seen a Tangent show, it got a little wild. I'm just going to say that. It got a little bit wild on that show.
Always does.
Heard quite a bit of stuff.
Oh my lord, the timing of that. The timing of all of that.
Steven's innocence has been violated. It's true.
I'm pretty sure at least once. And if you would also like to support us in our endeavor of getting monetized over on YouTube, please consider clicking that link there and subscribing and watching our content. But yeah, aside from that, we will not be here next Monday or Tuesday. So there'll be no Mead Quest on Monday and no Tavern Talk next Tuesday. I apologize. We're out with family. But we shall be back with our typical Friday. So you'll have us on Friday with our podcast with Revac, and then next Friday with Staccato. And everything will go normally from there. Yeah, I turned pretty tomato, and apparently that is the reddest Jamie has ever seen Annie in a while.
That's fantastic. It's fantastic.
So
you're welcome.
Yeah. With that being said, there's been some Reddit posts on Node Wars feedbacks, and there's one piece of feedback that was something that seems to have gotten a lot of upvotes on Reddit, and the thing that stood out to you / the real party pooper is that they thought that this would be a great addition to the system and is specific to the mayoral abilities, and they think it would be cool to allow mayors to delegate a general for the war to effectively pass the mayoral war abilities to the delegated to the delegated war general during the war. Wow, this is complicated. Virtek,
It is.
you want to take this one over?
I got it. So yeah, and then it addresses an issue that a lot of people brought up is like, if you get elected mayor and you don't show up to one node war or one siege because of any reason, people are going to vote you out. They're going to not be too happy about that whatsoever. But if you could have a setting where you would auto delegate to a general, but then if you are online, you can yank that back. And only one person, only one or the other would be able to use like the mayoral powers and whatnot. Mm-hmm.
So, Lloyd, Quarian, what are your thoughts on that? How does that sound to you?
Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
Up to you. Doesn't matter.
Okay. I mean, I made a comment on it where I said I liked it. I liked that idea because Anduin and I were talking about this on Sunday where we were like, God, mayor just sounds like such a headache. And like, you're the lead of the node, possibly your vassal nodes. You're basically just like, your head is always on the chopping block, and the only like real benefit is like the extra buffs that you get and the flying mount. And it's like, all of this responsibility is thrust upon you and only you for the whole month. And you're just like, that sounds like such a pain in the ass position to be in, to be honest. Like if you're like, oh, I want to pick this policy, and everybody's like, oh, that's a shit policy, I want to go with this one. And like, I mean, like they can obviously go to their own little ways that they want to go for like the commissions and whatnot. But like, if you take the node into a direction that people don't like, then your entire reputation is completely destroyed. So it's like, there's just so much for you to like hold responsibility for. And I think, you know, delegating some of that stuff out not only adds like interesting gameplay, like mechanics, but also just it relieves some of that responsibility off of your shoulders.
Yeah, I can see that.
I can't remember if I was talking to this about somebody or I heard it during the stream when they were talking about it afterwards. But weren't they saying that they were looking at a system about possibly doing that? Like being able to delegate powers to somebody?
They might have said that. I don't remember hearing it though.
I thought it was the post video stream.
I have no idea.
Like the Q&A afterwards that they do. Yeah.
That's a good question.
I think I had to go during the Q&A. I was able to stay for like a good part. I remember towards the end that they talked about like one of the types of events that you could have within the node war system is being able to gain control over another node's mayorship a little bit, lowering your own node taxes. Like to a degree. But yeah, that's a good question, because at the other end of this, you know, I'm not sure if people realize like a mayor doesn't even get free housing. You get like a mayorship office, but you don't get free housing for being a mayor of a node.
Totally remember. So you're not completely talking out of your ass. So I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
But other positions. Yeah. Okay. I thought I heard something, but I was like, I'm not sure.
I was like, I don't want to make you sound crazy, but I don't remember.
Oh yeah. Different stuff like that. I don't remember specifically about delegating mayoral powers and like the flying mount and such like that.
So I know you guys could steal the flying mount.
That's not until like they just don't have the permission set up properly, so they just didn't let them steal it during the Node Wars stream. But that will be in place for like future iterations.
Yeah. Yeah, you could accidentally hop on your friend's mount.
Problems.
Thank you,
Well,
Douglas. You are blessed.
Did you actually give your opinion, Corinne, on it?
No, I didn't, but I like the idea because me personally, I don't have enough time to always be there.
Right.
So if I did end up going for mayor, do not vote me for mayor. I do not want that responsibility, for the love of God, please.
It's kind of like a guild lead with like guild officers, right? Almost.
Kind of. I mean, I wonder if they might do something similar to kind of like how the guild system is going to work, for like their buffs and everything.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe do the same thing, but with the mayoral. Have a VP.
Yeah. I was gonna say, well, first Iris is saying that Irish does not like the idea. And I think Virtek, as you were explaining how, there's so much for a mayor to do, etc. That was kind of exactly the reason why they thought it's, I don't know, not a good idea. Exactly why that is good to have. But essentially I was saying same problem will exist with time zones. If East Coast mayors get tired, West Coast clanmates are hosed, essentially. And I do think that there's going to be, like a predominant East Coast server and a West Coast server. So if like you're gonna want to probably join one that's more on your side, unless you're like someone who's trying to game the system a little bit, right? Like West Coast playing on East Coast, because most of East Coasters will probably be asleep, which means a little less room for having to haggle over things that you want, maybe that. But I don't know, I like it. I think it would be cool, because if the idea of what we saw in the Node War stream is like one event of a larger war, then having a general of sort being in charge of something like that could be cool, I think. But the problem is they wouldn't have probably the flying mount to do the mayoral abilities.
See, I think it'd be and yeah, this by the way, because I started to say my opinion before passing it on to the guest, which is a sure sign that I'm usually not used to speaking on the questions until after Chibi's introduced it. Yeah, so I think if it was something that could be passed on to somebody, like just by default, if they're the only one online, they would get it. But then when the mayor comes on, they can seize it back at any point. But it's only one person's allowed to have it. But yeah, they'd be able to use like the mayoral mount and whatnot. It'd be neat. I do think that it might go kind of against a lot of the philosophy Steven's trying to put into the game, which is, there's risks and there's rewards, and it's valuable being a mayor because you can make decisions and do stuff, but then you also have responsibilities to balance it. And delegating like that might remove one of those responsibilities. Yeah. So I can definitely see a valid reason to not do it, but I just think it would be amazing, even for things like other people we're talking about. Like, it's just for any reason you could end up not being able to make it on, like a power outage because there was a storm in your area. Kids aren't quite in bed yet, or like anything. Yeah, mayors are not allowed to have a life, and that. I think there should be a balance between the risk versus reward, and you have a responsibility. And by the way, this is a game. There should be a balance between those two sides of the scale, Like it is a game, and there are some things you can make to accommodate the fact that people do have a life outside of the game. And I think that would be a very nice quality of life thing, where it still allows a general, specifically in the context of like node wars and node sieges, to have that ability to take over the mayoral powers and the mayoral mount. Like it could even be something that doesn't even activate unless your node is actively in a node war situation or in a node siege situation. And outside of that, they can't just take the royal mount for a drive randomly,
Yeah, I actually missed the part where, they said that these officers would have flying mounts. Like I don't think that they should have flying mounts personally. I think it should still just be the mayor. But like I could see like the argument, like they need to see the above ground, or like maybe like the general is like leading the charge and he's like kind of like meat on my point or whatever. So like I could see the argument for it, but like having 10 flying mounts on a battlefield would be like hella chaotic. I would not want that.
Yeah. Also, like that would ruin the whole point of there being rare ability for having flying mounts in the first place within Ashes. But sorry. By the way, yes. In the future, I do hope, just side note, to get an overlay where we can have our wonderful adventurers joining us in the tavern to chat. But I am waiting to ensure that there's at least a good 3 or 4, maybe 5 sessions of this with guests actively participating before I put in all of that extra work just to make another overlay, because I don't think you guys realize how long it takes me to make them. It takes a very long time.
It does. It
Overlays
does.
are not fun.
Lots of testing, and I'm doing them like a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. But yeah, I guess I don't really know where to take this, but if it's okay, I can probably pull it away. We can go back to Node Wars feedback afterwards.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just here to talk about everything Ashes.
Yeah, basically. But there's a lot of conversation, about massive being in MMO, which is also part of that link that he mentioned. But sorry, give me a second. How was I gonna say this? Oh yeah, so earlier in that post, he was talking about bringing the M back into MMO, meaning massive. And I was chatting with somebody today in the Ashes general chat. Somebody was talking about like the need for being able to be like solo a bowl content. If I'm a fighter, I shouldn't need somebody with me all the time, so I can like progress through. But on the other hand, there's the need and the desire to be massively multiplayer, where you're trying to encourage that group play. And this eventually kind of came back and forth to like, oh well, pots shouldn't really be used during combat because that would kind of negate the need for a healer, and the healer should be playing that role. Or like a bard, we heard a little bit from Steven previously, or just through conversation about like bard potentially being the thing that gives mana back to people. So like there's a viewpoint of that should reside in the class system, where bards give you back mana, clerics give you potion like healing through for more health, etc. And so that prompted me to ask in our Discord earlier this morning, should and I'm going to copy this so that I can make a poll so that you guys can give your feedback on it. And oh my lord, this is a lot of scrolling. I did not realize how much we talked today.
My bad.
No, don't. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. Should potions be usable during combat? If so, how long of a cooldown, if any? And that is the premise. That is the thing that I would like to talk about the most this evening. And I jokingly was referred to pulling Lloyd on because I wanted somebody to fight with. But one of you on. I brought friends. I'm sorry, I brought friends. I don't know if it's gonna be quite a 1v1.
I am used to being betrayed. I'm just kidding.
But
I enjoy it.
My thought is, I say yes. Well, how about we just all say like what we initially think, and then we can deep dive on there. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
My thought is yes, as long as there's maybe like a global cooldown on all potions.
I guess I'll go next. Yeah, I personally don't like food and potions in particular, but I think there is leeway. I think the issue is primarily one, not making an artisanship class, useless. and the other is game balance, where it comes to like, do I need to have food or consumables to be competitively viable, or is it just bad design to just make these things necessary? And I think there's a balance, and I'm not, and I don't like it for the game balance reasons, but I like it for the theory behind it.
Okay, we'll get into that. Varian?
I was gonna say, as I said in the pre-show, I am a potion whore. I will drink them on cooldown every single time. But I would be okay with like the 30 to 60 second cooldown, and also I'm also on board with the whole global cooldown, rather than what looks to be what's going on the wiki, at least right now, where each tier has its own cooldown.
Okay.
Yeah, I've kind of gotten comfortable with the idea of potions having cooldown, and I don't necessarily think, and maybe I'm misunderstanding what you were saying there, Lloyd, that there's necessarily an issue with game design where those things are like quote unquote needed, because as a tank, they're always needed. Like every dungeon boss, every raid boss, half of the trash packs, like I'm always using them to make sure that, you know, the thing that I can do is taken under, it's under control. It's being done. That way I'm not depending as much on somebody else trying to heal me, because that means somebody else who has a mistake or a slip up, the healer can pay attention to them, or the healer will have mana to pay attention to them, etc.
Okay, quick pause. I'm pulling
Quick
Thogly
pause.
in.
Okay.
Let's go, Thogly.
Is the Thogly?
Welcome on in.
Okay. So before we do have a dwarf. So before we deep dive on the conversation too much, new dwarf, do you think potions should be usable during combat? Yes, no, maybe.
Maybe. It depends. It really depends.
Cool. Yeah, we got a party. If anybody else wants to join, honestly, this is meant to be just a chat. Like anybody else can join. That we've had on before. Preface. But yeah, let's talk about it. I mean, one thing I've seen on the Discord is like some say like food should not be able to be used during combat, but potions should be able to be used during combat. Somebody else was saying potions and food should not be able to be used during combat. What are thoughts?
Hey, let me finish mine.
I think I
first
can answer.
real quick.
Oh, I didn't know you didn't finish yours. I'm sorry. Well, it was supposed to be a yes, no if you like it before deep diving into thoughts anyway.
Oh, okay. I missed the yes, no,
Warren?
but yes, they should be allowed. The end.
It's okay. I think Lloyd started it. Oh, we have a peon.
No, I want to hear. Oh, peon, let's go.
I know.
But yeah, I do want to hear what you have to say, because I was going to retort back.
Yeah. I was just being cheeky to Virtek, of course.
But okay, well then I guess to
peon.
finish it out is I've gotten used to having them.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, you know what,
Same.
Peon, let me get your audio dialed in there. Say hello to everybody out there for a quick couple sentences.
How you doing?
Yep.
Hello.
Good. Do you think potions should be used during combat? Yes, no, maybe?
I do. I have no problem with that. But I think the cooldown should be substantial.
Is that good enough voice clip for you, Virtek?
Yep.
Cool.
And yeah, I'm the same way. Like that's kind of where I was going to go with that. Is I've gotten used to potions being usable, and I really like them. It's something else a tank can do. It's something else anybody in the party can do. It gives a self heal to everybody. It gives a little bit of a mana recovery to everybody. It doesn't need to be like a 100% return, but as long as there is a decent cooldown. I don't care if it's one for mana and one for health. I don't care too much about that, as long as it's like a 2-minute cooldown or something, maybe 3. And if you exit combat, it's still ticking down a cooldown. It doesn't reset when you leave combat.
It seems like Steven to me is a kind of a potion whore, but it seems like his potions they do go on cooldown at least 30 seconds from what I can see, and it doesn't look like they do that much heal. So I think that I kind of like them where they're at.
I can get into the real nitty gritty. So if anybody wants to like say their stuff first, they can.
Go for it. I think we all kind of just want to retort against you at this point.
Okay.
It's all of
Yeah,
us
sure.
against you.
1pm.
Yeah, I'll take you all on. What's up? No. I definitely think there's a lot to this. So thank you, Vladis.
Cheers.
Thank you
And
much,
I believe
Vladis.
that
Cheers
takes
indeed.
us to 5 spins when we get to the spins again. I have it on
Oh
my
my
board
gosh.
over here.
We're only 10 away from your goal.
I know, it's crazy.
That's insane. Yeah, no, so I think there's a lot to this. So first things first, food is going to be in Ashes of Creation, and even though I hate it, I'm just gonna have to accept it. So you can take this with a grain of salt, but I hate the fact that I have to step away from the game and grab a consumable to be competitively viable. I think that's kind of the main streamline of like most of my reasoning is most of consumables have to be used at a high level to be competitively viable, and I think it's like a hindrance to the actual gameplay.
Okay.
In theory, though, I love the idea of going to the tavern, grabbing some food, saying, "Hey, what's up?" Going to the dungeon, wish me luck, and then get going on my way. Like, I love the theory of it, but in reality, it's mostly like, just give me my buff, I'm going. You know, like I don't like the whole like we wait around in Stormwind for our buffs so that we can go do the Mythic Plus raids. Like that just does not feel good to me. And
Okay.
with like health potions and mana potions, I'm okay with them being used in like combat, but it runs into like a catch-22 thing where if it makes combat a slugfest and you're just like slothing around, like just like I'm just consuming potions, one, it's going to be really, really expensive, and the people that like have put a lot of time into the game, they're gonna have more and could eventually just like out potion you, and that's all you're doing is you're just like out potioning somebody else. And then the other part is if you put it on a cooldown, then it kind of diminishes the fact of artisanship skills and diminishes like how useful that class actually is in actually creating those potions. So it's like I kind of like and hate both things at the same time. So it makes gameplay and gameplay balance really weird and clunky, especially when you're trying to combine both those systems.
Okay.
And obviously Intrepid's probably having these like conversations on the back end. And then the last and final thing, the last component of this is the gameplay mechanic of what is out of combat. Is being in combat with a monster the same thing as being in combat with a player? Probably not. Should those two cooldowns be different? I think probably so. And I think that really has a lot to do with when you use a consumable and like when the cooldown should be. Like if I use a potion versus a player in like player versus player combat, that cooldown should probably be longer. But like if I'm like in combat with a monster, that cooldown should probably be smaller, like in between mobs type of length. And that's my spiel.
All right, Douglas said he had something to say about that.
So I have something kind of unique, a different, I guess, perspective whenever it comes to potion use. I would actually like to see some kind of effect where if you do take a potion, yeah, there might be a benefit, but have a global cooldown that makes you have to go back to a tavern and rest before you can use another potion again. It promotes the idea of taverns being a hub, being the central location of where people meet up and you actually rest up. So,
Yeah.
yes, like 100% health mead. Yes, I'm all for that. But I do think that if they did a global cooldown where you have to go to a tavern, it would work out really well. But I also agree with you a little bit, Lloyd, where I don't want to have someone dedicate a lot of time, a lot of energy into being a potion maker, where it's gonna affect your end game so drastically if you don't have one. I think that the option of being an alchemist should really come as a benefit, but I don't want people to have to know life being an alchemist.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
So, so I hear your points. I hear your inputs there, Lloyd. But, I think when you start saying things like, I don't think that that is good for end game balance, or I think it makes combat clunky, etc. Well, you'd probably feel the same if you're a tank that decided that shields were a waste of time, or if repairing your gear was a waste of time and it was kind of a hassle. Or there's a lot of components, right? And part of the whole fantasy role-playing game is being a crafter. And one of the big things that you craft in life, and that everybody has at least a little bit of crafting skill in it, is cooking. So it's like, if you're going to just create food just to have food sitting out on a table, it would feel kind of weird. So it has to have some kind of a benefit, right? And what benefit could you give? I mean, there are other benefits you could get. I mean, literally like glows around your character or whatnot. But the one that's going to turn around more food to keep cooks cooking is combat benefit. And again, potions to me is just it's also a way of giving every player accountability for their own well-being, while also just, again, with a long cooldown, and it's a universal, like it's going to apply whether you're in combat, whether you're out of combat. It's just going to go on cooldown, or even just in combat. And then out of combat means that you haven't been attacked in X amount of seconds, or you've gotten X distance away from an enemy. Like a little combination.
I was also sorry, I thought you were done. That was a
I'm done now.
Okay. I was gonna also say, and I'm gonna wait until everybody who is our guest goes further. Seeing in chat, a lot of them tend to agree with, if there's some sort of cooldown, they would be fine with it. The tavern idea is cool, but they think that if maybe recovers faster in a tavern, but it might screw people over early game. Otherwise, they think the tavern is a bad idea since it requires a tier 3 plus node for that. Irish Viking had the suggestion of, personally, if you craft potions, they feel like your level of crafting should influence a higher tier of potion for you and you alone. More like a benefit for you, kind of like what we see in World of Warcraft. And Mioni, welcome in, by the way, says, I think potions should be 15 to 30 second cooldowns with a max restore of 10%, and buffs are no more than 10 seconds. The longer the cooldown, the longer the buff duration should be. Thoughts on that?
With how potions are portrayed right now, where each potion tier has its own cooldown, I think cooldown should probably be longer than 30 seconds. Just because you have each and every tier that you can go through.
100%.
Yeah. And as an alchemist, although that's what I plan on doing, I love alchemy in every game that I play. I think I enjoy games that give alchemists a little bit of buff for the things that they make, because they kind of know what they're taking.
Yeah.
But
let's call potions what they are. They're basic, and we've seen Steven use them. They're basically, pardon my French, they're an oh shit button. You might not always have a healer with you. So,
right.
A potion on a 1 minute cooldown that just gives you a little bit of health back is great. I have no problem and no issue with them at all. And I do think that, contrary to Lloyd's belief, I do think that having food buffs is very important. It helps out the artisans out there. It helps our taverns that are going to be selling food. So it's I think it's a good thing, and it puts a little bit of responsibility on people. If they want to have the best buffs, they need to get the best food to do it.
Right. And I'm responding. Welcome in, Bizum. I don't mean any disrespect by what I just wrote. Bazoom says, don't you think in a PvP game that it should be faster since an opposite group should be able to rebuff fast? And in a game, a PvP game, sure, but this is a PvX game. Like, just trying to bring that back into perspective. I don't know what you are thinking when you're thinking about using this potion. But let's give you a couple of scenarios just to consider, right? There's running across a caravan and choosing whether or not to attack or defend it. There's maybe having just finished a PvP fight with maybe a little bit of health or mana, but then there's mobs coming up. I think potions would be helpful in terms of survivability, especially with how far everything is going to be. We're not going to just be able to jump on a flying mount and get back to our node like lickety split, you know? There's going to be running time. There's going to be need to find somewhere safe. There's mob density that you have to consider. How far do those mobs chase you? How hard do those mobs hit? How low is your health currently? Would that potion help you to last a little longer to maybe get back into a safe place? Maybe it'll let you have a little bit more mana than you had a moment ago so that you can ensure that your friends stay safe and that you stay safe, etc. These are just a couple of perspectives. But I think that, Gundel says potions increase the skill floor. It's a form of skill expression. And I think it's exactly that. Virtek, you were going to say something like that earlier, I think. But also, like, it's used by hardcore PvE players to push ourselves in harder PvE content.
Yeah, I mean, it's that, and it's also just getting in the habit of using whatever you can do. If you can find the time to do something to help your group, you should. Like, for instance, if you're just a pure damage person, right, and you're a ranger and you're zeroed in on this one enemy that you're trying to kill, you've been like burning it down hard, and you've got it about halfway, and you really want to get the kill because of a quest or something like that, and it's only the last person that gets the hit. There's another group over there, but then your tank's about to get dropped by something that has like a sliver of health. Would you not turn around and snipe that just as something you could do real quick just to help your group, instead of going through and like being the greedy one and just hungrily going after this one thing you want to get? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So again, especially from a tank point of view, if there's a 7-minute boss fight, I guarantee you I've used 3 potions on a 2-minute cooldown. Guarantee it.
Yeah.
It took me maybe up to a minute to pop the first one, and then every other time, as soon as cooldown comes off, I have an opportunity to use it. Boom, there it is.
All right. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
What were you gonna say, JP? Okay. I was gonna say I forgot to mention this to you, but you mentioned having agency with the potion. You don't have to rely on like a healer or anything like that. And I think that is important.
Are you speaking about me or what, Virtek? Because I think you should.
Virtek said that earlier.
Okay.
Yeah,
but
just to expand on
what'd you
that.
say?
It's to help out the healer more so than anything, because I don't like potions that'll give me like a full heal or even a half of my health.
Yeah, I don't think
or
you should
anything
replace
like
the healer whatsoever.
I don't like big potions like that. Like, give me a 10 to 20% of my life back, just something to bump me up and get me out of the red.
Because magic.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I even said in Discord, like having a potion in combat for like a 3-minute cooldown that does like 30% HP or 30% mana is totally fine. And then other people were saying like 30 seconds, and I guess you can debate on like the timing. I don't think that's really my point at all, but like Ashes is a PvX game, and so it ties in with so many different of the systems, so I feel like I'm actually just fighting a losing battle. Like, I don't think there is a way that I can actually win an argument with Ash's systems like in place. The economy is super important. Crafters are super important. All these things just really build into the world, and it'd be like really hard to take something away without crashing like 7 other different things. So, I mean, I know that's probably part of the issue, but like resource management is actually a very, very big part of Ashes as well. And I think just giving too much oh shit buttons or ways for people to circumvent having other classes is definitely a bad thing.
I could see that. Oh my gosh. Go ahead, whoever was going to talk.
Yeah. So I was curious on your guys' opinion with consumables, but specifically on the aspect of flasks. Would you like to see flasks in ashes? I can elaborate
what do you
on
mean?
that if you just.
Yes,
So, like,
please.
okay. So World of Warcraft, for example, they have another type of potion called flasks that give certain secondary stat buffs for a set amount of time, rather than just healing or just mana. So, for example, you can use one that would slightly increase your crit chance or crit
like
damage
speed or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually brought this up in our Discord. I was saying that I feel like potions should go beyond just combat help, but also things like greater gathering speed, faster swimming speed, things like that.
That would be
Increasing
cool.
haste, increasing crit chance, you know, things like that.
Mhm.
I absolutely agree with that. I like that idea.
Yeah, Lloyd. I guess to give a deeper explanation on that, just so you know exactly what they were. Because I think they were kind of tossed in as just something to make an alchemist feel better and give them something to do, really. Because it's basically just another buff. There's a bunch that would give you like a 30-minute or a 1 hour or a 3-hour buff, but then when you would die, it would go away. And then there was another version that was higher tier that it would stay on and persist past death, but it would only be a 1 hour. Then they could make their own flasks that would end up having like a 3-hour that will persist through death or something like that. And I think that if Intrepid can't come up with other good ideas for an alchemist, or I think their version of an alchemist is going to be the magical engineer or something like that.
The arcane engineering, but
arcane
I
engineer,
think they said they got rid of potion launchers. I think that's what it was for. So I don't even know if that's actually an artisanship class anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it'll be something. Flask of muting someone's mic could be a top seller. But yeah, I could see doing the flask thing if they had no other thing to give the alchemist. But to me, it's another buff of some kind is really all it is, and that to me doesn't seem terribly important to make sure they include. So much as I wouldn't be angsty either way, I guess is my real take on it.
And Phantomax says alchemy should have a lot of interactions with other crafting and processing. And one of the things I think Mione said earlier was, what if an alchemist could create dyes? That would be pretty cool. That'd be very useful with like not only dyeing your own armor, but maybe creating certain things that are of certain colors in terms of crafting. Saddles.
Like tailoring.
Yeah, tailoring. Leatherworking. Things like that.
I'd say guilds can also use it to identify each other in the middle of fights.
Just
Sounds
like
nice.
throwing dyes at each other.
Well, no, like
You put it on your armor.
you have purple guild versus red guild or something like that. That's what I'm talking about. Like to
Okay.
have all their own members use like a purple cloak, for example.
Yeah.
Versus
Yeah.
the red one.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't alchemy listed as processor, not crafter? Yes. So they can make regions and such for other crafters. Yes. Sorry. The chat's going really fast compared to usual.
That means it's a
Alchemy
good topic.
Right?
Mhm,
Alchemy can
mhm.
also be creating poisons, transmutations of materials and liquids, like creating new oils, let's say for tanning or scribing. I love that. Inks, maybe. Alchemy could be used to make ink for scribes.
Yes, I need my scribing.
Don't
So,
forget
like-
about potion launchers, also, guys. That's going to be a thing since there's no gunpowder.
I think they said they were getting rid of that.
They are getting rid of that. Really, I did not hear that.
The
That's
potion,
what I heard
on the ship.
recently.
the potion
I have to check
launchers.
that
Those were kind of canceled out for launch a while ago.
Really, I completely missed
Yeah.
that. So they're
Yeah,
going to gunpowder
unfortunately.
then.
No, like they're not going to be in there for launch.
altogether.
Yeah. It'll be something I think they're going to try and work back in, but yeah, he's
Later.
still all about avoiding the gunpowder. I think for ships it might still be a thing, but like personnel carrying it around
Oh yeah,
as an
yeah.
extra weapon
I'm
in
sorry.
the bag.
That's what I meant as far as naval combat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I was like, wow, I had no idea, because that's going to be a pretty big thing for naval combat.
Right.
Yeah, I think there's still a thing there.
I hope that they do more than just naval combat, though, where they have catapults that could, launch them as well for sieges.
I think we should do
Absolutely.
Sea of Thieves so we can launch Chibi out of the cannon.
Douglas,
That's
what's your
okay.
opinion on it?
Pockets set our ship on fire in Sea of Thieves. So
Banana
no.
in the tailpipe.
yeah,
Pocket, she's calling you out, dude.
he called himself out earlier. Just reiterating. But yeah, Query and Douglas, thoughts?
What was it again? What were we talking about?
Just in general, like any thoughts that you have to add to the conversation.
Honestly, potions are kind of a touchy subject. For like high tier raiders, folks who are heavy into that, they kind of live off potions. They live off, kind of consumables. Especially even high tier PvPers. You look at folks who can get in and out of situations really quick, especially in World of Warcraft. They have those healing buffs, those little mana regens, things like that. It really is entangled in what kind of gameplay that you're going to have. So I don't know. I'd like the idea of potions, but I defer back to it really going back to using taverns. Like the best consumables should be able to come out of a tavern. And I know that there's freeholds with processing and stuff, but it's just, to me, getting in that fantasy setting of the tavern being a local key point. I think the best food and drinks should come out of it. So
Yeah.
Ooh, I
Yeah.
just
I can
thought
see
of
that.
something because of like your tavern thing. What if you could only bring a max amount of potions or food with you on an adventure?
Food is intended to over time degrade and
Mhm.
spoil. So there is that.
But like if you could only bring like 5 potions with you out on the field and then like you had to come back and restock.
I mean, what if you could accidentally drop your food, right? You're not going to want to bring too much food and potion because if you die, are you able to drop?
Well, they're not a
some of
material.
not material. It's only materials that you're dropping. Okay.
Mhm.
That's fair.
Yeah,
That would be cool, though.
Yeah, I think
Just saying.
I'm hoping that there's going to be an expansion on that, because there's already the food prepared at a tavern is going to have a bigger effect, but it's Steven keeps saying like within a certain range or within a certain region, and I'm kind of hoping that it means the food is going to retain its freshness for that certain distance or whatever, and it's going to retain that bonus for the certain distance. But as long as you eat the food and then you go somewhere, however long that buff lasts, it's still the same strength. It's still like you got the good food from the tavern.
Excuse me.
Give people a reason
Honestly,
to go
though,
there.
I think like one other thing that was brought up in chat is having a maximum of a certain amount of buffs that you can have on your character at a time, so that you're not like overly buffing. So you're not taking like this, that, and the other. And I think also some of the way that you can do that is, if with the ranger, it was my experience that they can put on a buff for me to help me with my mana regen. So if I took a meal that helped with mana regen, it would be an either or almost situation. I don't know. But there's consideration of like not being able to stack or overly stack certain buffs. Because that's the other thing, right? If I have a haste buff from something and then I take a potion that gives me haste, like that's twice the haste buff. Is that something that they're gonna want in the game?
I mean, this is kind of like a small side tangent because it's exactly what you're talking about. But like in World of Warcraft, like you only have like so much of a buff bar that you can put on like an enemy, and like if you have too many people doing the same buff, you're like, what the hell are you doing? You're doing the wrong buff. Like, you know, like it like knocks it off the buff bar. It's not exactly what you're saying, because you're saying like you're capping out your buffs on your own bar.
Right.
And I like that idea, simply because you're not just taking everything for a competitive advantage. You have like, you have to choose. There's risk to like which one you choose.
Right.
I like that idea.
And I mean, Steven's all about that risk versus reward, right?
Mhm.
So
It's gonna be everywhere. It's gonna be everywhere.
What's going to
It
make this game great, guys?
and I think decisions like, you know, if you're going to have a consumable or a flask or a pot, all of those should be something that you consider. I mean, another thing is, Prem says, I agree. If you want potions for, let's say, sieges, have players have to sink more resources into creating a siege storage, so they might have to then allocate resources from weapons or something else. And that becomes kind of a trade-off. Maybe if you want to be able to have potions during a siege, you have to contribute your potions to this siege chest, if you will.
Oh my Bob. While that was being said, I thought, you know how some buildings in cities, or even some cities that will just have a whole separate like water tower? What if a mayor could
A potion tower?
get one of those things built that just constantly collects from the citizens potion materials, and you just make a
It's like a
giant
potion tower.
potion
Whoa.
tower, and it's
Oh
only
my
active
God.
during node sieges and node wars, and during those times you can get a special like town flask that you can walk up and fill it up specifically for the combat section.
The Roman aqueducts of healing potion.
Yeah.
That's a unique thought.
Just pump it through my veins right here. I'll
Alright.
take a potion, an HP potion vein. Maybe. There you go.
HP IV in one arm, mana in the
Yeah.
other.
Yeah,
go.
exactly.
The
There you go.
restoration for the hangovers.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like those hangover stations in Vegas. They're all over the place.
Dude, those are so expensive, by the way.
As I've heard, I heard a good steak and eggs, which might be found at your local tavern, can be the perfect cure for your hangover.
That might have been one of your best ideas, Virtek. I mean, that impresses me coming from a tank.
Hey,
He thinks
Hey.
about his potions, okay?
absolutely. Potions are on the mind all the time.
Coming from a tank. Wow.
That and steg.
That-
My goodness.
That creates different strategic points of interest as well for warriors. Do I target the siege weapons or destroy their food and potion storage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. I do like that idea, Prem.
Bo says he was talking smack talking tank. Let me at him.
That was
Main man,
Put your claw
Fupo.
down.
Lude Lloyd.
Whoa!
Fupo,
what?
mean
I'm
man,
getting
talk
framed
bad tank.
again?
It's the orc rogue, Vupo.
Oh my god.
The one you don't have to worry about.
Oh my gosh,
Put your
Irish
claw down,
Viking.
buddy.
Don't even get me started on repair bills. When
Yeah.
Rangers started crying about having to pay for and
Ooh.
stock up ammo, I was like, wait a minute. As
Wait
soon
a
as tank
minute.
bills start averaging out with any other party member at all, then we can talk about paying for ammo.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not, because I'm a ranger and you can keep repairing, but I definitely don't want any ammo. So
Cost
I
for
know this
thee,
is
but
a hot
not for
topic
me.
you.
Mhm.
I don't get hit. I don't know what you're talking about. Repairing isn't even that expensive.
Oh no. It's been added to the Fupo hit list.
Ooh.
Lloyd, I tell you,
Ooh.
this
Yeah,
is
no
a tissue of life.
I wish you could see my face right now. It is in utter shock.
Yeah, it was absolute shock and astonishment.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
more cookies for Peon.
I was going to say, can I still get a cookie?
But
Cookies for
I
all.
do like that on the topic of consumables, though. Like, consumable items will not degrade over time, but also characters will not need to eat food to stay alive. I like those. 'Cause it's not like, you know, your survival. It's not like PAX Day, which was brought up previously. I could see something like that in PAX Day being needed.
Yeah, we're not playing a survival game, so we don't need to put like the hardcore survival stuff in there.
Yeah,
Make things
and I
feel
also
like-
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no worries. I kind of paused for a really long point there. I was waiting to see if anybody else wanted to toss something in, but yeah, just add a few things in there for, you know, a touch of realism, a touch of little adding, you know, the real life habits and things you like to do when you're role playing into a game. Like having food is cool, but needing to eat food 17 times a day because you know your character starts starving after 10 minutes is just not a cool thing to do in an RPG.
Yeah. On the other hand, the quality and duration of food buffs can be increased through the furniture system, which I thought was super cool because that once again incorporates another part of the artisan system. But the important part about that is buffs from some very high quality consumables may be able to persist through death. And I think that is super cool because usually you get that really expensive pot, you get that really expensive dish, and you go to fight and you die, and your thing that you paid that should have lasted 30 minutes is now gone because you died.
Phantom, the food makes you smarter because it gave you enough like sugar so that your brain can start working again, you know? Like you get the sugar and sodium intake so that you have the mitochondria working the powerhouse of the cell really hard, and it makes you smarter. That's why.
Guys, there's no food that's gonna make Thogly the dwarf smarter. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, low blow.
Wow.
Low blow.
Racist.
If it doesn't make the dwarf smarter, then we all know the orcs are doomed.
Oh.
Oh God.
Stop
At least-
fired.
Virtek.
At least those Rinkai anyway. I'm just saying, Vec, we're astrologers, okay? Astronomers also. We everything to do with stars, okay? We study that stuff. We're smart.
Nobody told
Astrology
you.
is the science, guys.
You know, I don't see Vec as orcs. I see them more as like the troll race of fascists.
Okay.
A lot of people say that.
I
yeah.
kind of do too. Yeah.
Whoa, Fupo. Really? Why you gotta be like that, man?
I'm back in Poopo's good graces.
Oh, oof.
Why all this dwarf hate?
Oof.
Like we don't hate on you guys.
I like how it was like a drop and run. It was basically a hit and run verbally.
Just mic drop, run away.
Because magic.
Oh no.
It's okay.
Paramount.
I'll defend you, Thogly. I'll fight with you.
I appreciate that.
Paramount says, honestly, stars should be an elven thing, right? We're just picking on all the races tonight.
I mean, I'll be honest, like the whole connection to the stars and all that bit that's totally out of whack for your typical orc. That's basically the reason I like the Vec, because they're not your typical orc, but they're still like a cousin of the orc.
Yeah, elves can't see the stars through the trees, anyways.
Or the lights in their city.
Ashes and Air says, Beck smart. Beck look at shiny lights in the sky and smokes a lot of funny plants and make up stuff about shiny lights.
So what
That
you're
one
saying is
looks
they're
like
good
a
bards,
god.
and you should invite everyone to your parties, or yeah, invite one to every one of your parties somewhere in there. You can invite them all to one of your parties. That's cool too. It's gonna be a big party.
I'm super excited. I'm excited to learn about all the lore of all these races too. Like, I mean, like we kind of know, but not super in depth. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Sorry. Irish Vikings getting personal now.
Uh-oh.
You asked, is mini golf just regular golf to me?
Hey, I take
Oof.
offense to that too.
Oof. Man,
I love
That's me in real life. Okay.
everyone's throwing out the low blows.
Dwarf lives
Yeah.
matter, guys. Everybody's welcome at the Hidden Dagger Inn as long as you pay.
Get it?
So-
Low blows. 'Cause
You
they're
have an
short?
entry fee? What the hell is this?
We gotta buy shit, you know. He's like, you know, gotta buy a drink.
It's the
Mm.
Sussy Dagger Inn. Of course you gotta
The
have
Sussy
an entry
Dagger.
fee. But so Phantom actually says we would like to have regional food, please. And actually this came up in, I believe, Dark Mittens video I was listening to about there being I think Steven had said that the name of whoever crafted the item would be attached to the item that was created. So if it was sold on the marketplace, you could see who made that item. Wouldn't it be cool if that also worked with food, but along with what Dark Mitten was suggesting, it also had the region the food was made in.
Yeah,
And
that's dope.
I think that'd be really cool.
I think with all items, that would be sick.
Yeah.
Actually,
Like,
yeah,
just-
like stamped with the node that person belongs in, like they're whatever they're
Honestly,
a citizen of.
that is exactly what Dark Mitten said in his video, was that it would have like the day, maybe the date, the node, and the name of the crafter. Because the example he gave was Vladis became the Dark Lord after making an item and decided to go corrupted and murder everybody. And then his node got sieged, so that node is no longer. But there's this item from 10 years ago in game where that node used to be like a high metropolis level.
And then
Yeah,
And
Vladis brought it crumbling down.
Yes,
He's our King Atrax.
Mm-hmm.
exactly. But I thought that would be really cool, and that would definitely tie in very, very
Mhm.
deeply into the roleplay community as well. That would give them something to base it off of, you know.
Honestly, that could do a lot for the economy, even because people would want to save those items and whatnot, because it's like a little piece of history, right? You would legitimately have a story about that specific item, that one, not one like it, not just buying one from the store and like, well, I can mount this in my house now, and you know, it looks just like the one I had when I was doing this thing. No, that is the one. That is the one.
Right.
The only
Can't
thing I
have
would be
item descriptions are different, says Synderix. I'm not sure how the technical side of that works, but maybe that's
Also,
an
when
issue.
we're talking about some of these items, we're talking about like a weapon. Like, I don't think you'd have a stack of weapon. You know, like
That's true.
you'd have
Yeah, I think.
two.
Yeah, they may have been referring specifically to the food.
Oh, the food. Yeah, I could see that. One ring to rule them all. But like, what is the description? Because if I'm mass processing, it would have like the title of whatever I'm processing, and then the area in which I processed it. So if I'm in, I don't know, the jungle area at the Golden Feather Tavern, then it would have like the name of the food and then the jungle area name for the region.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Crafted
So
by
it's like a category. It's not necessarily a
description. Yeah.
yeah. But Thugly was going to say something before I rudely interrupted.
Yeah. So sorry, Thugly.
No, you're good. The only thing that I think would be a little weird is naming conventions. You know, having characters come in and having these weird names, you know, like something funny that Dr. Burton said is Bong Slayer 420 creating some weird item, you know, like
Yeah.
how for me, how is the GMs, how are the folks going to be able to, Intrepid specifically, be able to take a look at that and see if like how immersive it is, how weird it is? Like, I'm interested in those kind of names being around, like what Intrepid will do to respond to something like that.
This item name is invalid because you used a bad word.
Yeah, so here's like, because I thought about that for a minute. And I'm sorry, actually, Query, you were gonna say something. I'll let you go first. The guest is first.
I was.
Oh, you lit up. I thought you were about to say something.
Oh no, I was laughing.
Oh, okay. But like my theory on all that, because we kind of touched on that before. There's two things really. Like one, stamping your character's name on an item is going to affect your sales when you put it up on the auction house. For the better or worse, it's going to impact your sales. So that could cause it to either automatically curtail it in crafted items, or cause it to explode, and then every name is going to be Bong Slayer 420 or some derivative, depending on how smart aleck people want to go. But when it comes to like a developer curtailing people's names from being fun names that aren't immersive, it's not like John and Bartholomew and Aloysius the Wild and things like that are very immersive in an RP atmosphere, it's going to cut out fun for people, because then now they have to come up with some like historically and or racially accurate character name just to make sure that they can play a game, and it's gonna deflate fun and they're gonna disappear. So I think, in my mind, the only real curtailing of weird names that they should do is going to be for appropriateness for whatever audience they're trying to hit with the game. If they're trying to go for like an all ages, then sorry, nothing crazy. If they're going for mature,
like
then yeah.
I don't want to see like 1, 2, 3 and stuff like that as a name though. But I get with, let's look at 3 million accounts, first of all, that they have registered already. So yeah, that's hard to come up with a name that's not already taken. But as long as they have some kind of protocol on what's too vulgar, we don't need to be seeing that.
You could do like an Elden Ring thing where you have like a list of acceptable choices that you can make for the name, but I mean, you still get like Tri-Finger Butthole. Like, I mean, there's that too. So.
Do I say it?
Go for it.
I'm sorry, my love.
Uh-oh. Scared.
I guess it'd be better than a dick tongue.
I mean, fair enough. Can't debate that.
But Fubo said having the no, ours was the tongue. Somebody else had fingers.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Fupo said having the name of who made it not show on the auction house might be a good middle ground too for the stamp. I am sorry. It's it's a tangents thing. Okay, it's a tangents thing.
So much shame in those words.
I was just saying, there's nothing bad about a little corruption. Just a tiny bit.
Chaos.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, chaos potion. There we go. Back alley brothel is the thing again. Only at the Hidden Dagger.
Oh, so that's the Hidden Dagger.
Steven's never going to let me have my brothel. This makes me sad. I'm going to have to find a workaround.
Womp womp womp.
I thought it was, but somebody wanted like a legion of like cat girls as their like node workers.
All right, who's the Tolnar lover?
Jamie.
I think Bochi is also.
Yeah, Bochi is definitely.
I mean, it
Oh no,
even,
that makes it so much worse.
Was referring to lifting the skirt.
Phantom, by the way, said, I need to Google what that is. And then immediately replied with, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
We call them tonar.
They got pretty nails.
Yeah.
That's where all the dying happened with the alchemy.
Oh, you got deeper on Fupo's list. He hates saints and now wants a brothel as back to list.
Fupo is the righteous cat of justice.
But I Kai, I'm saved.
But no, I think this was a really good conversation. I mean, Lloyd, you already knew going into this that you were losing. You put that in the Discord. Mm-hmm. You're like, I understand that that's not what's going to happen in Ashes, and that's fair. But I still think it's worth talking about. I still think it's worth having a whole debate about what we think is fair within the potion system, especially because they're gonna probably want that as feedback. And by the way, note to those of you out there, if you come across a random bottle of poison, or just a random bottle in Barrett, don't drink it.
Don't drink it.
Wise, just don't drink it.
They had that in Eiffel 1. Don't drink it.
Sitting out.
So you telling me as a dwarf not to drink something? I'm taking that as a challenge, and I'm gonna drink it.
Never drink strange liquids from strange people.
of having gone out into the world, and then I saw this bottle and I was like, oh, what's this? And then I clicked on it, which I think made me drink it, and then I died, and I thought somebody else attacked me. So I rezzed, came back, drank it again, and died. And then I realized, oh, that's poison.
Yeah. Also, read your flavor text. Like, if you're just selecting random options, you could randomly die. It's happened to me in A1.
Yes.
On 2 different
your
occasions.
quests, your items, read the quests, read the items, read the flavor everywhere. It's
Don't
Lloyd said
pick
it
too many
perfectly. It's there for a
flowers.
reason.
I think we
The
should be
most
able to
innocent
poison
type things
food,
could slay you.
poison food and sell to the enemy node.
Cherry
Oh, boy.
poison. That'll get Virtek to drink it for sure. Cherry?
Cherry? Just delay a good like 5 seconds before the second word and it'll be gone.
Yeah.
It's no worries.
Hurricane
I
drinks
mean-
at the bar. Come on. See, that's where I think I need to make myself a Nikoa and make a form of the golden feather in a Nikoan area so we can have the hurricane drinks there.
Remind me
Yes,
to never
Caribbean drink.
invite any of you to my alchemy lab.
Why?
Have you tried this?
I come with my own gas.
Would have asked
You can
if that was important. Yeah, exactly, Cinder. Bahama Mama's all the way.
Oh,
Never mind. My
Scarlet.
room's in the gutter. I gotta leave. So we raid Lord for
That kind of show. All right.
oh Lord.
I was thinking of the drinks, and then she said that. I'm like, wow, my name's Lude Lloyd. I'm like, what? Chibi's got her mind in the gutter more than I do.
Got outlooted.
Look.
How dare you? You must
got
change your name now.
Dude, Lloyd.
Yeah, I've been trying to behave. Keep me on the right track here.
Speaking of keeping people on the right track here, we'll go ahead and wrap up. We'll start heading over, getting ourselves ready to raid over to Loreforge. So
Okay.
keep your seatbelts buckled and arms inside the vehicle. We're not leaving just yet. We have 4 friends who joined us today. Would you guys like to give any kind of a quick last? Do you have any final words before we depart?
Hey, boys.
Have a good night. Don't drink random potions.
Anything you guys want to shout out, like yourselves? Maybe
Just love
anything
you.
you're working
Love
on?
you all. And
Aw.
have a great night. And love Ashes of Creation content creators and love the community. That's it.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with Peon there. Everyone's been great ever since like I kind of stepped into the community. So I'm Lude Lloyd at everything. Make sure that you use 2 L's. Don't go searching around with Lude Lloyd with just 1 L because you might run into a giant one-eyed sea snake that's not mine. So just avoid random sea snakes and make sure that you put in 2 L's whenever you mention my name.
Or you're gonna have a bad time.
So that sounds
Yeah,
like
you're gonna have a bad time. Yeah, I did not realize when I made the name that, somebody else with a different Twitter handle would, be
Research.
similar names. Yeah. Whoops.
Sorry.
I'd like to also just add that, with Alpha 2 coming up, real soon, that there's going to be a lot of influx with into the community. And I really hope all the people that have been really involved will stay on top of people in chat, keeping it this way, because I love this and I hope it stays this way. So that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, same. My final thoughts are, if you want to continue talking about potions, I highly encourage you to jump on over to our Discord. We have an Ashes general chat where we like to talk about all things Ashes of Creation. And there's also a whole community area. One day I hope to have that fleshed out, maybe during Alpha 2, where people can talk about different stuff of Ashes. But also, just as a heads up, we're having our guild summit on June 29th, and we're currently doing an Alpha 2 commercial contest. So if you are interested in any of that, please check us out. And of course, for those of you who are watching later, or maybe got here at the end, this will be on YouTube later. So please check out our YouTube if you have not already. With that, I have the raid going, getting ready to start.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for hanging out with us. Much appreciated. We love when people join us. So if you are a friend of the tavern already, please do feel welcome to stop on in and hop into the live stream Q channel when we have our tavern talk specifically.
Yes. And thank you to Vladis again, by the way, for the gift sub. Sorry, I wanted to make sure I say that.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you, Vladis. Thank you, Vladis. Even though you've turned dark and brought some future node to its knees, but stamped your name upon some sword in the process in remembrance. Either way, you're still kind of a cool guy, I suppose. You know.
All hail the Dark Lord.
But everyone, thanks for hanging out with us in the chat here. Thanks for participating. Thanks for giving us all your ideas, your inputs, and your criticisms even. We like your criticisms. It makes us think critically about what we're saying, too. Everybody have yourselves a great day, great time. Thank you for your time. Thank you for spending it here. All right, we'll catch you next time. Bye.